It's crazy to think that little Hershey, Pennsylvania is home to a park offering one of the world's best coaster lineups. And what's crazier is, Hersheypark hasn't slowed down, and with their most recent coaster, Wildcats Revenge, some could make the case that Hersheypark is also home to the best coaster top 4 of any theme park in the world. This is Theme Park Brandon, and hang on tight for a roller coaster of a video showcasing you how I rank the ones at Hersheypark from worst to best, with some must-know coaster tips throughout the video. Starting off with number 14, Coco Cruiser, which opened up at the park in 2014. Hersheypark's smallest coaster is the perfect size for the kids who need that first coaster to ride. And while it's not the best kid coaster out there, Coco Cruiser is a quick but fun ride, especially when you get a ride with your kids. Number 13 is Trailblazer, opening up in 1974. This Aero Mine Train coaster is a rather tame ride overall, but I really do appreciate how you do not get to see much of the coaster's layout from within the station. This creates a mystery around the layout of Trailblazer, and it just makes the ride that much more fun. Fun fact about Trailblazer is that this coaster planted the first seed in my mind that my wife and I needed to have a second child, since one of us had to ride alone while the other got a ride next to Mason. Around a year later, little Talon was born. Number 12 is Wild Mouse, opening up in 1999. Now this is just like your typical Wild Mouse coaster that you're going to find at 31 different parks all across the world. And the ride offers a fun out-of-control ride experience, making Wild Mouse a fun ride to ride if the wait time is minimal. But nowadays, just being honest with you, I only ride Wild Mouse for the stellar views that you get of Wildcats Revenge. Opening up in 1991 is number 11, and that is Jolly Rancher Remix. This is Hersheypark's Vekoma Boomerang Coaster, and I know what you're thinking, a boomerang coaster, headaches, is not very enjoyable. However, this particular boomerang coaster has received a ton of love from Hersheypark over the years, and that alone makes it a much more enjoyable ride than the other boomerangs out there. And I gotta say, I really do love the new theme that Hersheypark gave this coaster, and the sleek paint job as well. But for me, it's all about those next-gen Vekoma trains that really make Jolly Rancher Remix a much better coaster. Number 10, Laff Trakk, opening up in 2015. Hands down, this is one of the most fun indoor coasters here in America. Placing a spinning coaster that already has a great layout inside of a building is just a great idea. And to think that Hersheypark went a step beyond that idea and turned it from a great idea to a genius idea when they placed black lights and vibrant colored cutouts all throughout the ride's layout. Coaster tip. This line moves very slowly, so if you're interested in experiencing it, then I recommend hitting Wildcats Revenge first when the park opens, and then walking quickly over to Laff Trakk. Number 9 is SooperDooperLooper, opening up in 1977. Now everyone visiting Hersheypark really does need to take some time and experience this classic steel coaster from the one and only Schwarzkopf. With its very low height requirement, only 42 inches, SooperDooperLooper is the perfect coaster for riders who are scared to go upside down due to there only being one inversion on the coaster. SooperDooperLooper is a delightful ride that features a very unique layout that intertwines with the Great Bear inverted coaster and the hollow area of Hersheypark. Number 8, Comet, opening up in 1946. This classic wooden coaster offers a very thrilling T-shaped layout and plenty of nice airtime pops. Designed by PTC, this coaster still delivers a great ride even though it's the oldest one that you're going to find at Hersheypark. That is why I recommend every time you visit Hersheypark, catch a ride on this classic. Because trust me, you're going to love the ride and looking up at SkyRush throughout the ride's layout. Number 7 is Lightning Racer, which opened up in the year 2000. Now maybe it's just me, but I've never really loved Lightning Racer. While I do think it's a fun ride, and these dueling coasters have an awesome layout, I just find the ride to be a little bit overhyped. Though I will say, when I do ride Lightning Racer, I will always be sitting in the very last row. Regardless, Lightning Racer is a fun, quick-paced wooden coaster that is also very smooth, making it a fun overall experience. Coaster tip. One great thing about Lightning Racer is the fact that the coaster hardly ever has a line. Number 6 is Great Bear, opening up in 1998. Now after my last rides back on this coaster in 2023, I forgot just how much fun and intense it is. Built by B&M, this inverted coaster features the most unique layout of its kind and offers a great first drop. But the highlight for Great Bear for me is when the train travels through the 0G roll and then the quick turn to the left that is right above the water. And that again is my favorite part of Great Bear. I love this sequence. Seriously, do not sleep on this element that takes you just feet above the water. In my opinion, it's one of the best coaster elements that you're going to find at Hersheypark. Coaster tip. With any inverted coaster, it is always good to remember that if you want the best visuals, then you want to sit in the very front row. However, if you want more of an intense ride experience, then sit in the very last row, preferably an outside seat. Number 5 is Fahrenheit, which opened up at the park in 2008. Featuring 6 twisted inversions, Fahrenheit is Hersheypark's most twisted roller coaster. This intimate coaster starts off with a 121-foot tall vertical lift hill, followed by the very rare Norwegian loop element. This inversion really is a wild experience that is honestly hard to describe. And while Fahrenheit is not one of the top 4 best coasters at Hersheypark, it really is an enjoyable and thrilling ride. Now if you're like me and you love roller coasters, then you have to check out KeepRidingCoasters.com, where you're going to find a bunch of coaster merch designed by myself. And I really do appreciate all the support, and I love seeing all my merch out in the parks. Once again, KeepRidingCoasters.com. Number 4 is Candemonium, which opened up in 2020. Opening as a staple attraction to the all-new Chocolate World, B&M designed a very Mako-ish style hypercoaster that interacts beautifully with the front entrance plaza of Hersheypark. I really do enjoy Candymonium. Despite the corny name, the first half of this coaster is highly regarded when it comes to airtime. One of my favorite elements on Candymonium is the hammerhead turnaround element. Riding the train in the very last row as you go through this element really is where it's at. I love it. But I also really do enjoy the odd angled airtime hill that takes place right after the helix. While Candemonium is not the best hypercoaster out there, the tallest coaster at Hersheypark really does offer the best floating airtime that you're going to find at the sweetest place on earth. Coaster tip. Given Candemonium's popularity and its location, I do not recommend riding it when the park first opens. Instead, consider saving this ride for later in the day to avoid the often lengthy waits of 90+ minutes for Candemonium. Trust me on this, there's a very good chance that if you go around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or even 6 o'clock, your wait time for Candemonium is going to be much shorter. Number 3 is Stormrunner, opening up in 2004. Now sadly, Stormrunner is one of the only intimate hydraulic launch coasters left in operation here in America. So I'm very curious about the coaster's future and what Hersheypark has planned for it. Because Stormrunner is a top-notch launch coaster that features a 150-foot tall beautiful top hat, giving riders breathtaking views of Hersheypark down below, followed by a 180-foot drop that leads into the 135-foot tall Cobra Loop. But my favorite element on Stormrunner is what comes next, because it's just so unusual and you can only experience it on Stormrunner. The Heartline Roll, followed by the Flying Snake Dive, is hands down one of the best elements on any coaster, period. Now if you're enjoying this video, then all I ask that you do is please take 1 second to give the video a like. That is by far the best way that you can help support my channel and the work it takes to create these videos, and I really do appreciate each like. Now these 2 next coasters at Hersheypark are flip-flopped by many of us when the discussion for the best coaster at Hersheypark comes up. Number 2, Wildcats Revenge, opening up in 2023. After my 20+ rides on this coaster back in July of 2023, I really did fall in love with Wildcats Revenge. And while it's not my favorite coaster from RMC, this layout does bump it into the top 5 for me. Wildcats Revenge first inversion, the step up underflip is just perfect. From there, you're going to love the airtime, the 0G stall, and the crazy transitions throughout the coaster's layout. One last thing that stands out about Wildcats Revenge for me is the 2 0G rolls that are located near the end of the ride's layout. Overall, Wildcats Revenge is a top tier coaster and has really propelled Hersheypark into consideration for the best coaster lineup not only here in America, but for the entire world. Which means that SkyRush is my #1 coaster at Hersheypark. Now I know not everyone's going to agree with me here, but in my opinion, there is so much to love about this insane intimate hypercoaster that offers some of the best airtime you'll ever experience. Which brings me to my last coaster tip. If you want the best possible SkyRush experience, then I recommend riding the very last row of the train and on an outside seat. Trust me on this, you will thank me later. The first drop on SkyRush is one of the craziest ever built, and the 2 airtime hills are just perfectly executed to provide some of the best ejector airtime ever. The intensity of SkyRush doesn't make it a coaster for everyone, but there is a reason why this coaster is ranked so high up on my coaster rankings. I love Intamin and I love ejector airtime. Now after watching this video, I really hope that it's made you want to visit Hersheypark even more, as it's such a great park to visit. Which is why I created my ultimate guide to Hersheypark video that you can see at the bottom of your screen. Your Hersheypark experience will be so much sweeter after learning about all these must-know tips and how to have the best day at the park. So now I want to know, how do you rank the coasters at Hersheypark? You know what to do, let me know in the comments. As always, this is Theme Park Brandon, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.